Hi everyone, Connor here. So today I'm back with another tank tour, and my last one I did for spring, and it was right after my 36 gallon ended up getting a leak in it, and I got the 40 gallon and kind of moved fish all around. So all the fish are still in the same places they were then, but over the last few months I escaped all three of my tanks again and redid all three of them. So today I just wanted to go through all three of the tanks and walk you through kind of the reasons why I escaped them the way I did. I will note that not all the tanks are doing super great. The tanks are fine, the fish are healthy, but somehow definitely have some algae problems. So you'll see that as we go, and there's definitely some cleanup I want to do in the future. But anyway, let's turn it around, and I'll start off by showing my 65 gallon that's behind me. All right, so let's start off here with my 65 gallon. So if you haven't seen this tank before, it's from Current USA. They have a whole system that they put together. It's the 65 gallon aquarium. They're known for the lights. You can see the background light changing. That's kind of what they're known for. They put together an aquarium, so that's what the aquarium is. As far as what's in this tank, I have my clown loaches, and there's 6 of them. There's 4 little tiny ones, one that's probably about 5 inches, and then one that's about 3 inches, I'd say. And I also have 6 Yoyo Loaches. They're all about 2 to 3 inches long, I'd say. And then I have 2 polar parrots, which have mated and are actively breeding. In my last tank tour was actually when they first started breeding, and I used to have blood parrots in this tank. One of the reasons I moved them away out of it, because with the polar parrots breeding and the blood parrots are a pair too, there seemed to just be a lot of aggression towards the clown loaches, just because the polar parrots would chase them outside of their area, and then they would just go over near the blood parrots, and the blood parrots would chase them away. It's really not a large enough tank for all those fish, that aggression, so I did move the blood parrots out of here. But as far as the polar parrots, they have been breeding. They've had 3 batches now of babies. The first 2 batches definitely got eaten, unfortunately. This latest batch, actually, they had lived for a while. I actually was looking before shooting this video, and I couldn't find any fry right now, but about 3 days ago, I definitely saw a few. Now, going on to the scape. So I kind of got inspiration for the scape from my initial scape I did in the 65 gallon, which was an island in the middle and then heavily planted. And also a goal with the polar parrots breeding and kind of wanting to give the loaches some peace is just a bunch of caves, and then within the cave just kind of a bunch of line of sight breaks. Actually back there I do see a little baby. I don't know if you'll be able to see him. But anyway, so that was kind of the goal, kind of have sponge filters to break line of sight, and then plants here. Those are Amazon swords there. You see they're pretty algaed up, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I was hoping they would be bigger. They came in kind of small, and with my tank having a decent amount of algae, they haven't really done too well so far. So they still definitely are healthy. I think they can come back, but I might switch them out for some larger ones, because that was kind of the goal, to really have some nice line of sight. I have a lot of little plants in this tank, which I liked. I wanted that look, but I also wanted some big ones in the back, which I didn't really get. So probably gonna make some additions to that in the future. And then real quickly, I just want to talk about kind of equipment on this tank. So one thing I'm doing differently on this tank than I've previously done is I'm running only sponge filters for filtration. I have 3 sponge filters. The air stone is off right now just for volume and audio for the video. But so far I had no problems with that. It's working really well. The reason I did that was because the canister filter I had ended up getting a leak, and with me being in an apartment, I didn't really want to try fixing it and worry about it leaking again and just have to worry about that. So anyway, I just kind of went away from that for now. I definitely like the canister filter minus the kind of the problem with that, but and it looked great as far as not really having much in the tank, but that's kind of that. Another big change to the tank is I used to always run a net lid, and it would just get dirty, especially running air stones, and the bubbles popping up to the top. It'd get dirty after 3 to 6 months, and you have to replace it. So this one is plexiglass, and so far I'm loving it. It's doing great. I did put a video out showing how I put it together. Really simple. I pretty much just ordered plexiglass, and I had these clips that I also use for the net lid I had, and it everything kind of just works well. So far I'm absolutely loving it. So I think for if I had a roomless aquarium in the future where I have fish that might jump out, I definitely go with the solution over the net. But then as far as future plans for this tank, there's not really too many. Depending on if any polar parrot fry end up living and getting to adulthood, I will either just keep the polar parrots in here, or if they just keep losing batches, I'll probably put them in a smaller tank and let them breed and let the fry get raised up, and then put them all back in here. Obviously, depending how many they have, because they do have a lot, I wouldn't be able to keep them all, and I'd probably try to sell off a few if I could, or give them away if I wasn't able to sell them. No plans to add any new fish to this tank. I mean, it's pretty stocked, especially with everyone growing up. So just gonna kind of keep it as it is. I do want to get the algae under control. I might run actual CO2 on the tank for a bit. Also, I want to add some bigger storage or some bigger plants in the back. The ones I got were smaller than I expected, and because I've had some algae problems, they really haven't grown. But that's basically it, just add some plants and keep balancing the tank. Now I wanted to go over to my 55 gallon. So this tank used to be home of goldfish. Now it's home to a few different fish, also a tropical tank. I have my 2 blood parrots back there that absolutely love to hide. That's where they always are unless I add food to the tank. Then I have my mollies in this tank, and then I have my false Julia Corydoras. I was a little nervous adding my blood parrots to this tank initially with some of the smaller fish, the mollies and the Corydoras, but they've been absolutely peaceful. I think just them having a large cave has helped a ton because they just hide back there except for when there's food, and so they have not bothered. I never see them bother the mollies or the cories. It's actually super peaceful. It's actually kind of funny because they would harass the loaches a bit when they were in another tank, but this tank they totally don't even bother them. One quick note, I guess we could talk about equipment, but one thing that I was going to mention at the start of going over this tank, but I didn't, is you'll see I have a light over top of this side and there's a lid on this side. The lid is actually back there. I just dropped it off and doing a water change, and the little plastic that held this light on snapped off. I have no fish in this tank. They're really known for jumping out, and with the plants on top. So I kind of just put the light on top for now. I really either have to glue it back on or just get a new type of light. I'll probably try to glue it first, but I haven't got around to that yet, so this is kind of working for now. As far as other equipment, I'm just running a Seachem Tidal filter for a 75 gallon tank on this that was filtered a little bit, and then just the same heater that I have in my 65 gallon. And then I'd also have some air stones in there that are off right now. As far as the scape, I wanted to go, so there's a few things I want to use in the scape. It's kind of I guess the main goal. I want to keep the black background. I want to keep the sand. I didn't even take the sand out of the tank. And I also wanted big caves for my blood parrots. Then the last thing I want to do is I've had this driftwood for a while. I plan to use it on my 65 gallon for scape, and then it didn't really fit with the idea I had, so I ended up scrapping that and just had it sitting around for a while. So I was like, kind of would like to make use of these big pieces. So I've just been sitting around for a while. So that was kind of the goal. There actually was, I'll show some earlier clips of this tank, but this part of the cave actually used to go all the way through the back, and then there was this kind of entryway here. Still sort of is, but started to get a little loose. I felt it when I got a water change, so I kind of took down some of the rocks to make it a little safer, as I didn't want them to fall off, especially with the blood parrots moving around quickly and being decently strong. And then besides that, I knew I wanted to have plants all around it. I pretty much went with all plants that'll be pretty safe for blood parrots. So I went with Anubias, a few different types. I think mostly bartery, but I think there might be a couple other types in there. Then I went with hornwort at the top. And the goal kind of was to have the hornwort more coming out of here and then floating up. Over time, it's kind of just floated out of there and sitting at the top mostly. As far as how the plants are doing, the Anubias is doing absolutely amazing. Also probably because there's some shade from the hornwort, but there's really hardly any algae on it. Looking super green. Some of these are I just have some dirt on it, I think mostly, but there's a few holes in the leaves back there, but these over here are doing absolutely amazing. As far as the hornwort, not doing so great, kind of doing what hornwort always does for me. For the first month or two, it's great, and then it starts to get algae, and then some pieces start to break off, and it kind of starts to get to a mess. I definitely just didn't keep up with the maintenance. I really think like weekly or even bi-weekly, you really need to kind of just like shake it off gently, get the algae out of it and any debris. Otherwise, it gets pretty dirty, and then the leaves start to brown. It's definitely greener than this. And you'll be able to see there is hair algae over here. I think that's blackbeard algae. I'm not an expert on algae, but definitely some bad algae in there. So probably I'm gonna have to scrap this hornwort. I'm sure if I wanted to, I could clean it up, but it's probably worth just scrapping it. And I do want another plant for fill in this kind of middle background section. So maybe I'll do fresh hornwort or try something different. I'm not really sure yet, but it's kind of a future task. Otherwise, I'm kind of just, when I do water changes, shaking around, getting some of the dirt off, and just water changing it out, and kind of just letting it go until I do remove it, but probably be sooner than later before algae gets worse in other areas of the tank. And as far as future plans, because I talked about it a little, probably just get rid of the hornwort, switch it out for a different plant or fresh hornwort, try to take care of it better. No real plans for fish in this tank. I think I could definitely add a fish or two if I wanted. I'm not really sure what I would get. I thought about a dwarf gourami, I would kind of like a rainbow shark, but or actually probably a red tail shark. But when I had my rainbow shark and my both parrots, they didn't really get along too well, so I might wait on that. I've also thought about getting 2 angelfish. I think like really red koi angelfish would look cool in this tank, but kind of just waiting for now, not really in a rush to get anything. All right, finally we go over to my 40 gallon. That's where my goldfish are right now. And this tank, I just aquascaped, so it's looking absolutely great. I'm really loving the look of it. It looks super clean. Now that I have all my tanks done, I am hoping to just really keep up on maintenance and really keep algae off the plants, and hopefully it'll just keep thriving and looking good. We'll see how that goes, but that's kind of the goal. As far as what fish are in here, just my 2 orandas. Unfortunately, I don't know if you kept up with the channel or if you're new here, just have a giant oranda, but she unfortunately passed away. I do have these 2 orandas that are pretty decently large, probably 5 inches, 6 inches. This is Squish, and then I have Daphne back there. So my orandas have just been loving to sit in these plants. These are red Reuben swords, and they've just been loving just to sit in them. It's kind of funny. It's kind of cute, but they're just like monkeys in trees. But it's kind of funny. They really haven't done any damage to them, so hopefully it kind of stays like that. But we'll kind of see. I definitely could see them uprooting them and tearing up leaves if they keep going in plants, but we'll see. As far as the reasoning for this scape, I really wanted a minimal look. I wanted a lot of room for the goldfish to be able to swim around, but I did want some plants. I thought these red Reuben swords would look cool with the purple background and against the black sand and white rocks. The rocks I kind of just had previously used in goldfish tanks. They do algae up and kind of greenish or brown, but otherwise I didn't really want to go out and buy new rocks right now, so I kind of just kept reusing what I had, keep it minimal in look and minimal in budget as well. The swords are red Reuben swords, and I've had them with goldfish in the past and they've done excellent. I put them in pots. They're actually the pots that they came with, and then I put nutrient-rich substrate. I forget which one actually. I'll link it below and probably put it over on the video, but I put it in that. I did want to put root tabs in there, but I actually ran out, or I can't find mine, so I'll have to get someone to put them in there. And then on top I just put a little white gravel to kind of hide them a bit. As far as plans for this tank, there really is no plans. I really just try to, now that I have all my tanks done, really just try to keep up the maintenance and keep it looking good and healthy. No plans to add any fish. These 2 fish kind of take up the full 40 gallons, and especially as they will grow still a bit. So kind of just keeping this tank as it is. As far as equipment, I'm running a 55 tidal filter. I got this new light, forget the brand, so I'll link it below, but I'm going to do a review on it in probably a month or 2. I literally just set it up. It's pretty basic. I guess the brand is Aquaneat. It's one of the cheaper ones on Amazon, but has overall very good reviews. Doesn't have any good settings, but it has all of the light spectrums. And so far, I think the tank looks very good, so I'm liking it. Hopefully it does well for the plants and doesn't lead to too much algae. But anyway, that does wrap up the video. If you did watch the whole video, I want to thank you for watching. And if you have any questions on any of my tanks or any suggestions for any of the problems I said or things you find fun or exciting for me to do with my tanks in the future, definitely let me know. Always great to hear from other people. And anyway, if you did enjoy the video, a like on it and subscribe to my channel is very appreciated. And anyway, that's the end, so I'll catch everyone next time.